ladies and gentlemen, are King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard slop or not? First, what is slop? Second, how do we detect slop? Third, how much of their catalog is slop? Fourth, are they talented regardless? And then finally, we're going to use that to figure out if you and or other people are going to consider them slop or not. So without further ado, let's get into this music matrix. We have 0 to 11. We have energy and or intensity of the song up here. And down the bottom, from 0 to 10, we have catchiness and or memorability of the song along here. Now, if a song is greater than a 7 out of 10 on catchiness, and it's lower energy, it gets called pop. If it's higher energy, it gets called rock. If it's bad, if it's not catchy enough, people are just going to call it slop. They're going to call it bad. Now, if you're a fan, you might go, well, technically, this is indie goop, 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 goop. And they don't care. No one else cares. You, good for you, you can have your words, but everyone else is going to consider it slop. So, energy, this is easy to figure out. 0 to 3, you're winding down for the night, you're going to sleep, right? 4 to 7, it makes you want to move, dance, have a good time, maybe jog. This makes you want to sprint, run, fight, mosh. Okay, so how do we figure out, now that we know what slop is, less than a 7 in terms of catchiness is slop. But how do we detect catchiness? If only we had a way to detect catchiness, which would be this. So there's lots of things that feed into catchiness, but you will see on the bottom there is predictability. Predictability gives us the best bang for buck on figuring out if something's bad or not. Because if something is completely predictable, it is corny and almost guaranteed to be slop. If it's completely incoherent, unpredictable, it goes nowhere, you can't even follow, it's not even a song, then it's also completely slop. But if it's some balance, if some of the things you expect and some of the things are surprises, some of the things are unique, some of the things are familiar and you love them, then you end up in the money zone. And in the money zone, you still have a, let's say 1 in 3 chance of being slop, a 1 in 3 chance of being just for fans of that band or genre, and a 1 in 3 chance of having something that's hit quality, that is catchy. So now that we know what catchy, now we know what slop is less than 7 in terms of catchiness, we know how to detect it, which is predictability. So we kind of have an idea from that if something is to one extreme or the other in terms of predictability, if everything's completely predictable or it's completely nonsensical, it is going to be considered bad by anyone who's not a diehard fan of that genre or band. Now we can get into King Gizzard with the audit. This is how much of their catalog. This is the relative amount, right? So you can see, for example, here's our OnlyFans distribution, where we've got quality on the bottom and quantity on the top. So you can see how much stuff from, let's say, Frank Zappa, Motorhead, or Slayer, for example, they have an OnlyFans distribution. You can see Motorhead does not have a lot of hit songs. They maybe have 1, 2, 3, but they have like 80 albums. And they also don't have a lot of music that their fans think is bad. They mostly have stuff that is just in the middle, that's maybe between a like 5 and a 7 or 8 in terms of catchiness, or maybe a 4 to 8, where fans still get good use, but if it's less than a 4, even the fans are skipping it on a playlist, right? That's total slop. If fans of that artist skip it every single time, it's slop, right? So, in general, not always, not for everything, right? But so a good example is where almost everything is for fans. There's very little hits, and there's very little pure garbage. Now, over here, you have a very different scenario with Hit or Quits. You've got like Weezer and Queen, where either it's incredible and everyone's going to love it, no one's skipping it on the radio, it's just most people are going to be like, wow, this is a great song, I'm so happy this came on the playlist, I've never heard it before, let me add it to my like songs or something. Or it's god-awful and no one's ever listening to it, the fans are skipping it. That's Weezer. It's either great or it's awful. That might change person to person where they put the songs, but people usually only put Weezer songs into 1 of 2 places, bad or good. There's no, oh, well, it's for fans. Now, when we get to, we can see some different ones, but let's just rip the Band-Aid off. King Gizzard, they have so many albums, and they wrote 1 or 2, like at the beginning, they wrote music. They used to write music, it seems like. I'm just an outside observer, but I went through their catalog, and it seems like they used to write things that were called good, and they did it a little bit, but then they were like, actually, I don't like doing good things. I like being quirky, which means going up all the way on the predictability end. See, here's the thing. What King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard started doing was, this is going to be quirky and zany, which you go, that's unpredictable, makes it bad, but also, it's going to be somehow yet still uninspired and boring. And so, you have something that's predictable, and highly unpredictable, you put them together, it averages out to being in the money zone. Well, what do you mean? Why wouldn't it be a hit? Well, because it can still be 2 bad things that are boring and completely zany that make something that is still bad. What? Oh my God! Yes, so that's the problem with King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. They maybe had, 12, maybe, let's call it 30 songs that are like catchy. These are good. There's not like I like a part of the song, but then the rest of it I just kind of ignore it and tune it out because it's not good. They maybe have 30 songs that are like really good all the way through. Call that, 2.5 to 3 albums worth of songs. But when they've got like 20 freaking albums, that means the rest is going to be either just for fans or duds. Either way, you get a distribution that looks more like this or this. You know what I mean? Even if it's not as skewed like this, even let's say it's duds and B-sides and then a small number of hits, that means the majority of people, because the majority of people for any band are not fans of the band. The majority of people are people who are in this category. So most people right off the bat are probably going to consider them slop because of that. So that's where it gets interesting, because now we have to move to where different people don't judge off of that, because some people don't care about the consistency. Some people care about other things. And what are those things? This is called brand. This is brand over here. This is virtuoso-ness, or do they inspire me to pick up an instrument and give me new ideas, and I really like them for that. Right? You can think of someone like Victor Wooten or Primus or Guthrie Govan. I can't tell you a single Guthrie Govan song. This is the songwriting, right? You've got songwriting, you've got virtuoso, and you've got brand. Right? King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard have an incredibly strong brand. It's very potent. These are for the people like Kim Kardashian who just go, oh, Slayer, I love that t-shirt company. They're so Halloween. They don't even know it's a band. And for them, that's all they care about. So King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard win people who just care about brand, 1,000%. And then if you're just a music nerd and you like being able to nerd out on cool factos and, oh, look at this technique they used and cool facto, and, oh, that gives me ideas for my instrument, and that's less of a I'm making fun of you thing. That's like, actually, that's something I would do. I'd be like, okay, there's lots of cool ideas of microtonal stuff, and they do lots of very interesting things. But their songwriting has a shocking lack of consistency. Doesn't seem to be what they are, optimizing for. So it doesn't seem like it's a reflection on their skills, because when they did put more effort into songwriting, which it appears on the earlier records where the songs are way catchier, and it's not just King Gizzard fans listening to them, it's me. I don't listen to anything except for the really catchy stuff from King Gizzard. And so it seems like they just aren't trying here. Not that they don't have the talent, but they don't display the talent as often enough so that most people don't associate them with the talent, because they don't often see them expressing that talent, unless people are like, no, but the first couple albums, but then they just think, well, they got bad. Well, it's not necessarily they got bad, it's just they stopped making that the goal. It's not even they stopped trying, because they're trying really hard on these stuff, and they're doing really good. They are trying, just not on the thing that most people care about and or consider being good, right? So that's kind of where it's like, oh, they just stopped trying. They didn't. They just don't try on the thing that you care about, most people. So most people, I'm going to say off the bat, are going to consider them slop. They're going to consider them a novelty because they have a really strong brand and they have gimmicks. That's what most people are going to see them as. Not that they should see them that way, and not that I see them that way or you see them that way, but most people, because they stop prioritizing the catchy songs. Now, if that's what they wanted to do, because now they have more of a cult fan base and they have more of a following who is there not because of their ability to write catchy songs, well then, I don't know, maybe that's a smart move. I don't know, I can't judge. They have a successful band. But I can tell you, most people I talk to who are musicians even, who just aren't fans of King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, which is most of them, they will say, oh yeah, didn't they do the microtonal thing, but outside of that, they're bad. They don't make good music, because they don't make music that they want to listen to. They don't make music you want to listen to on a run, on a walk, on anything. If you just want to sit there and smoke weed in your living room or whatever, not something I do, then maybe, I don't know, I'm trying to think of ways you'd enjoy it, but that's what I imagine. People who like pot and they like sitting down and being like, let me listen to this bad record because the drugs will make me think it's catchier and cooler. I don't know. But also, there's little factos. So here's the real thing, though, surprisingly, because I try and be as charitable as possible. I think most people, when they go, is a band catchy? Are they rock? Are they pop? Are they etc.? What they do is they think of the songs they remember, which are the ones they like. In this case, here are my top 10 songs from King Gizzard and La Wizard. The River was really catchy. Mr. Beat, Gamma Knife, Big Fig Wasp, Robot Stomp, People but Charge, Rattlesnake, Rattlesnake, Rattlesnake. Work this time, Gila Monster, and Dead Stick. See, Dead Stick's a great example where it's like, guys, if you just like torn down, if you toned down the corniness and predictability on some of the things by like 2%, it would have been like really good. It would have been like a 9 or a 10. It could have gone to that, but they kept it at an 8. You'll see they don't hit 10. They don't hit 9. And so I went through and listened to like every album to like find songs that were really catchy. And so I did get their catchiness at a 7.7 and their energy at a 5.7. And so that shows you they're not bad. And so the people who listened to them early on and then didn't like the next record they heard and then just stopped checking out their new records, those people, like me, are going to be like, oh, King Gizzard, yeah, they were good. They are good. They are a rock band, but then they started making bad music. That's what most people, because it's not catchy. Most people, when they say something's good or bad, they don't mean they're talented. They have talent. They're like, are they displaying the talent of making things that are good? Then it's not good. If it doesn't matter how much talent you have, it doesn't matter how good your free throw is, if you never hit points, if you never get points in the basketball game, people are going to say you're a bad player. It doesn't matter how good you are in practice, unless you might have the skill, but unless you actually, manifest it, you have irrefutable visual and or auditory, whatever evidence, IVE, irrefutable visual evidence. Thank you, Michael Sartain. That's a phrase he uses a lot. Now, we can look here. Oh, basically, where does that put him? So a 7.7 on catchiness, and then I said like a 6, a 5.7, so it's called a 6. So let's call it an 8 and a 6 just to make it easy. They're right about here, right? And you expect most people, I like the things that are the catchiest, so most to the left and highest up and the highest energy. I like things that are as catchy as possible and as high energy as possible. That's my preference. That's the way I skew. So when I pick my top 10 songs, I understand that it's probably going to be the top left corner of all of their catalog. So they end up right about here, which means they're probably going to disperse into a bunch of little dots over here. And so they're probably something around here. So they probably do have a favorable opinion, but the problem is they made so much music that's so not good that if you look at their entire catalog, it's going to pull them back over here on average. Anyways, in general, it's going to be controversial, like a console. No, controversial. It's going to be controversial. And so, yeah, are King Gizzard into the Lizard Wizard Slop? If you look at their top 10 songs, no. If you look at their brand and their, technical abilities, then no. But if you look at their music, overall, you look at their catalog, they are slop. They are bad. Their catalog is bad. So, because those things completely are in opposite directions, right, people are going to have a lot of controversy. There's going to be a lot of controversy. So, without further ado, thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Anyways, I'll see you in the next video. I think I might talk about Radiohead. Oh my god, Radiohead. Bye.